All right, so this meeting will be recorded. And so if you don't want your face or voice on camera for whatever reason, feel free to turn it off. But hello, welcome everyone to SHAC's first info session. We will also have another info session on Thursday at the same time through Zoom. So if for whatever reason you also want to attend that one, feel free. And the recordings of these info sessions will also be posted after, so you can look back. So yeah, we're really excited to have you all here. Thanks so much for coming. I guess we'll start off with some introductions of the SHAC 2022-2023 board. I'm Victor. I don't know why my name is not showing up there, but I am the president of SHAC, and I'm a fourth-year architecture major, minoring in sustainable design, environmental design, and urbanism in developing countries and food systems. And I am the director of consulting as well as one of the decal facilitators.
I'll go next. I'm Brian, by he, him. I'm the co-president this year for SHAC. I am a third-year sustainable environmental design major in the CED. I also minor in GIS and city planning.
Hi, I am Robin. I am the co-vice president and also decal facilitator along with Victor. I am an architecture major, second year, hopefully GIS and city planning minor, and I'll be managing the committees, which we'll learn more about later.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan Chimuk. I'm the co-vice president, and I'm also the THIMBY co-manager. I'm majoring in landscape architecture. I'm a junior, and I'm also minoring in sustainable design.
Hi, everyone. I'm Beck Boyer. I'm the internal director and treasurer. I'm an architecture major, third year, and I'm minoring in landscape architecture.
Hello, everyone. My name's Jade. I'm serving as the current outreach director. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm a fourth year environmental economics and policy major.
Hi, everyone. I'm Hogan. I'm a business major, third year with data science minor, and I'm serving as the media director this year.
So I'll start us off for exactly who are we? So we're SHAC, Sustainable Housing at Cal. We are a disciplinary group of undergraduate and graduate students here at Berkeley with a shared passion for sustainability in the built environment. We aim to promote interdisciplinary collaboration, behavior change, hands-on education, innovation, energy self-sufficiency, accessible affordable housing, and scalability of projects. Kind of put that all together, we are an organization that kind of aims to explore sustainable housing and housing projects from a ground up perspective. We're trying to put it all together, either that be through design, construction, or research. Next slide. So how do we get all of these projects done? It's mainly funded through partnerships, be it through financial or material partnerships with a lot of companies and like school programs that we put together. This is kind of a list of who we partnered with currently and in the past. And how is the club structured? So SHAC itself is split into 3 projects and the internal committees. If you've been to any of our tabling, you've probably heard the spiel, but basically we have Solar Decathlon. That is our national competition. It is a design and construct of a high efficiency home. You'll hear a little bit more about it from Mia and Alec later on in the info session. We have THIMBY, which is a tiny house construction project. We'll hear that from Garrett and Aranchimeg. And then we have a newer project, which is consulting. You'll hear that from Victor. And that is a lot about research and building the future and longevity of this club. We also have our internal affairs, which you'll hear from the respective directors. as those are the committees. You have internal, outreach, and media.
Everyone, I'm Alec. I'm one of the ex-project managers now. I'm still involved with the project, but Mia and I have both graduated. Our project started like a year ago, but we're still going. We're working both full-time now, but we're still very involved in the project. I got my master's in EECS last spring, and Mia, go ahead.
Hi everyone, I'm Mia. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the current project manager for Solar Decathlon. As Alec mentioned, I just graduated. I got a BA, I don't know how it says BS. I got a BA in architecture, and I'm now working as an architectural designer at a firm in Oakland. And just to give some background on the Solar Decathlon, as Brian mentioned, Solar Decathlon is an international competition. And it's hosted by the US Department of Energy. And essentially teams from all over the world from different colleges, whether that be one college or multiple colleges or universities collaborating together, work over the course of 2 years to design and build full-size solar-powered houses. And the ultimate goal is to really further the fields of design and energy and engineering to innovate and create environmentally efficient products and designs. And so just on the right there are sort of it's called a decathlon because there are 10 different contests. So this is essentially the way that our projects are measured and the way that they're judged by the Solar Decathlon Committee. And then I'll hand it over to Robin to talk a little bit about previous Solar Decathlon projects.
So the UC Berkeley team for Solar Decathlon began in 2017 with the project called RICE. And then in 2021, we had the second installment called Hearth. And then finally, currently, we have Seed. You'll learn more about that later. But basically, currently, we're now in the construction phase. So we just finished designing our community center. It's going to be a community center for a tiny house village in Oakland. And so we're now really at the crucial phase. And hopefully, we'll be able to construct this community center by January 2023. Next slide, please. So the first project, Rise, is the residential inviting stackable efficient home. It was a joint project between UC Berkeley and the University of Denver students. It blended together intense practicality, future-proof design elements, and sustainable technologies. So it featured solar power, stackable rooms, as well as a movable wall system. And because of this, we won third place at the Solar Decathlon 2017 competition. Pretty OP. Next slide. And then the second installment was on during 2021. It was called the Hybrid, Equitable, and Resilient Transitional Home, Hearth. I think we won the best name for this one. But basically, this was a hypothetical project in Santa Rosa, California. It was mainly targeting 2 issues being faced by Santa Rosa. This includes homelessness and wildfires. So this center was essentially a recovery effort that combats climate change and houselessness. Again, drawing from these 2 main issues, not only faced in Santa Rosa, but also in the Bay Area. It blends fireproof design elements with supportive housing programs and social support systems. So through this, it was also promoting community resilience through the design for chronically homeless residents and also those made homeless by wildfires. Next slide.
And now Alec and I can talk a little bit about our current project, which we hope you all will join us for. The Seed House or Seed Center is essentially a hybrid living and community space that we've been designing over the course of the last year. And we are working with a local nonprofit called Youth Spirit Artworks. Some of you may have heard of it. They've collaborated with other student orgs on campus, including Habitat for Humanity. But essentially, we are working closely with them to fulfill their ultimate goal of creating 100 tiny houses for homeless youth, which has been an ongoing campaign for the past couple of years. And essentially, YSA was started as an organization to help build skills and do jobs training specifically related to art for homeless youth in the Bay Area. And now they've expanded to start building. And so this has taken the form of a tiny house village in Oakland. It's a really beautiful place. It's full of tiny houses and other sort of supporting buildings. And it houses, I believe, 22 formerly houseless youth. So we're collaborating with them to create a community and living space that will support the jobs training and arts programs, and that will sort of be part of this, again, larger 100 tiny homes for houseless youth campaign. So next slide. Yeah, so a little bit about where we are now. As Robin mentioned, we are entering the construction phase. So in the last year, we've spent a lot of our time working with YSA, working with other parties such as the City of Oakland, a bunch of sponsors, and other sort of advisory folks to come up with the design. So that's doing architectural design, landscape design, engineering of all the systems of the house. And then now we're moving into the construction phase, which means working closely with our general contractor to really figure out how it's going to be built, and then actually building it. So that will take place over the course of the next few months. We're hoping to start construction in the next few weeks. So if you all join us now, that'll be a great help in moving that forward. Alec, do you want to talk a little bit about the roles that we're looking for?
Yes, I can do that. I just wanted to make an additional clarification that even though the bulk of the design work is done, there's still ongoing changes to the design. So if you join our project, you'll still be able to contribute to that as we go. Like the main elements are there, but like some of the additional things like landscaping and like some of the like lighting systems still need to be finalized. So there's lots of room to contribute there. Yes, yes. And then so we're looking for a number of roles that you could fill. Pretty much like there's so many different areas in this project that we can almost convince anyone to join us and play or be able to fill a role that they're interested in. They're listed here. They're also very clearly listed out on our website with all the roles, like the responsibilities and tasks and expectations associated with each. The way that we're approaching this is, and that we've approached recruiting is that as long as you are passionate and are willing to learn, that is the main qualification. So even though some of these require some, or it would be better with some prior knowledge, it's more important that you are passionate about all these subjects. So a lot of the engineering tasks and all the MEP systems, or the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems, are open. And also, if you're interested in doing software, we are working with a Berkeley research project that does some like building management system stuff. That's really, really cool. And also, we are expanding our media team. So if you are interested in that, and particularly if you have any interest or experience in creating videos, editing videos, stuff like that, please apply to our project. Yeah, next.
Yeah, and they're not listed here, but we also do want folks who are doing some architectural design and yeah, specifically landscape and interior. So just want to make that clear. Go ahead, Garrett.
Cool. Hi everyone, so my name is Garrett and I'll be introducing the tiny house in my backyard, aka THIMBY project. I am the THIMBY co-project manager, and I am also a recent alumni. I graduated in this past spring with the chemical engineering BS, and I'm currently an R&D engineer at a local startup. So I'm still in the area, actually just up on the hill at the National Lab. So like a minute the bike's ride from campus. Yeah.
And I'm Ranchmeg. I'm the other co-project manager. You've heard of me, so I'll skip my intro.
Cool. So I'll just go briefly over what THIMBY is as a whole. We aim to design and construct a cost-effective and scalable model for full amenities tiny homes to provide extremely affordable and permanent housing And so all of our projects obviously are centered around also being sustainable. But simultaneously cutting down on costs, so not using some of the more high-tech and unfortunately expensive technologies. But we do this through using as much reclaimed materials as possible, off-grid capable solar, because it is necessary in some applications of these homes, efficient appliances, water reuse where possible, simple design to cut down on material usage, and also air quality, because that is increasingly important. Some two new tenets of the project that we're incorporating as we hope to incorporate that scalability that we talked about is both workforce development and wealth building. So we're in the early stages with workforce development, but we're hoping to draft a curriculum as we build out the current home that we're working on, and partner with existing local programs within the communities that we're working in to provide some extensive training programs that offer cradle to gate construction experience, for an entire construction project, which usually isn't something that someone can get before they enter the workforce, because larger projects take more time, but a tiny house can be done with a lot less people and a lot more focused on each individual system that the person's working on. So yeah, we're working on that right now. And then also as we move forward, you hope to incorporate wealth building, which will take the form of various financing models and agreements between tenants and homeowners, but basically we'll be charging highly affordable rent that's adjusted to the person's income, providing additional income to people that may be hosting these homes in their backyards, credit improvement through being made eligible for low interest loans that you wouldn't be currently usually eligible for, and then a path towards ownership of something, for example, owning your tiny house on wheels. So yeah, very brief overview. Eventually we'll go into more details about the past projects, but the PHIMBY got started back in roughly 2014 with the Tiny Living Lab. 2017 was the second project, Constance's bus, and then 2020 we started this project, Richmond Backyard Homes, and the past year, 2.5 years almost, has been getting funds together, and so we finally started construction in June 2022, and construction should be complete by the end of the year. Yeah.
I'll go over our past projects. NIMBY 1.0 was a net zero off-grid tiny house built primarily by graduate students to compete in the first ever California tiny house competition. The tiny house showcased features like a gray water reuse and solar energy systems that we also intend to incorporate into our current design in PHIMBY 3.0. The project then went through a data collection process to further test out the efficiency of a home management system. And our next project is Constance's bus. This is in 2017. PHIMBY 2.0, which was a bus retrofit project for a mother, Constance, and her family in Richmond. Constance was able to reach out to us by working with the Greater Richmond Interface Program, GRIP, and together with GRIP and tent makers, we helped create a tiny home that also focused on teaching unhoused members of the community and giving them access to construction and renewable energy workshops as part of a training and a rehoming program. And sorry, I'm muted. Kara will explain our next project.
Yeah, so our current project, again, is Richmond Backyard Homes. And our goal with this is to actually pilot the city of Richmond's tiny house on wheels ordinance with at least one 240 square foot home. I mean, we know that's happening because it's being built right now, but hopefully several more. This ordinance has actually been renewed a couple of times, and most recently with our help, it is now allowing 24 tiny homes, which is a lot, to be built by summer of 2025, I believe. So we hope to build as many as we can by then, so that the city has enough information to decide whether they want to make this a full ordinance and continue to allow tiny homes on wheels to serve in lieu of permanent foundation accessory dwelling units that be put in the backyard of single family homes. So this home, as I mentioned before, will also provide affordable and permanent housing for a recently homeless but also working individual. And so this is supposed to be sort of like a next step for someone that may be exiting a transitional program or some other living situation where they can't afford the high market rate incomes, rents, but this would fall into a bracket that they may be able to afford. Of course, ADUs maximize land use by providing infill housing, minimize energy, water, and material usage, and then developing a training program, as I talked about. We will be hiring actually at least one person to help with this build out, and also partnering with private and public institutions as we continue to grow to finance the future construction, so that they're not all grant funded. Yeah.
And to be able to accomplish all of this, we were able to raise over $80,000 from various grants and sponsors, to which we were able to secure the trailer and construction materials. There are, of course, like lots to do and lots to plan. Roles for the construction team include creating lumber framing, woodworking, creating custom furniture, MEP systems, all which are responsibilities that you can find also on our website, shac.berkeley.edu. We also have architectural people working on as-built models, renderings, and as importantly, we will also have policy team roles in our management positions that will oversee the workforce development, financial models, and the tenant selection processes. And finally, we are also recruiting for general construction members, where you can be notified of upcoming build days to come help and construct. These roles require far less of a time commitment, but are very important to our building progress. And next slide, please. Yes, these slides contain pictures of our progress so far, including build days over the summer to finish the subflooring. Our construction is held in a site in Richmond and is leased to us with the support of a variety of community organizations. On the right, you can also find an example of one architectural sheet that we use and finish and frequently reference in material procurement and construction processes. And if you have any questions about THIMBY, please feel free to reach out to Garrett or me. But for now, I'll hand it over to Victor and SHAC Consulting.
Great. So I'll be talking about our new SHAC Consulting project. I will be the director of SHAC Consulting, joined with the support of Garrett, Alec, and Mia. Yeah, so SHAC Consulting, the goal is to provide internal, environmental, and social consulting services for the successful design and construction of sustainable and equitable affordable housing. The objectives are to develop a SHAC playbook that would allow for future project replicability and development within our organization. So essentially taking all the lessons learned and the experiences that we've gained from our past projects, Solar Decathlon and THIMBY, and compiling them so that our future members can replicate and improve and work on developing these projects further in the future. And next, we would ideally develop a SHAC handbook for external teams to use for guidance and inspiration for their own tiny home or sustainable housing construction. And alongside all of that, we would be developing frameworks for assessing and improving sustainability and social justice measures in our projects. So SHAC Consulting's role within SHAC is to synthesize the work done to date by SD and THIMBY and kind of serve as the glue that unites both teams. Really, it'll be documenting, scaling, and publicizing SHAC's past efforts, advancing SHAC's values of energy, accessibility, scalability, and education, and giving future members and other people access to a robust compilation of research, hands-on experience, and guidance surrounding the most effective strategies for designing and constructing sustainable and just homes. So this is a preliminary timeline of what we will be up to this year. Starting this month, we will start our brainstorming of what we would want our deliverables to look like and kind of the process for the project. We'll continue on with construction documentation of both SD and THIMB, taking observations and notes of what's working and what could need improvement. Then we'll go into further analysis of our SHAC projects and then begin writing our SHAC playbook. Once the playbook is done, we'll publicize it and then begin working on our SHAC handbook. And this goal is kind of ambitious, but we may also have curriculum development in the future of this project as well. So why join SHAC Consulting? It's a brand new project within SHAC. And so really you'll have the opportunity to have a large say in how you want the project to go and its direction, contribute your ideas and experiences and help really co-create your vision for what this project would look like. You'll be able to research and learn about lots of aspects of sustainable and equitable design and construction, exploring various building certification programs that might cross over into the work being done in our decal, learn about building science and technologies, MEP systems, explore social justice frameworks, resilience, dive into building codes, urban planning, and health and wellness. And also just gain valuable hard and soft job skills that are relevant to the consulting industry.
So next I'll be talking about the SHAC committees. Our three committees are internals, outreach, and media. So I run the internal media committee. Jade runs outreach currently, and Hogan is media, as we introduced earlier. Next slide. So the SHAC committees are the administrative and organizational skills that govern the projects and our various initiatives. We use them to collaborate with members and like organize projects. And we also use it as a link across Berkeley to coordinate with other clubs, whether that's in CED or COE or another initiative, and then our industry partners and also the professionals that we work with. So first, internals is recruitment, finances, event coordination, our legal affairs, and also member coordination. So this semester, we're putting together an entire like member handbook to help with recruiting. And then we have outreach, which works with sponsorship, fundraising, community engagement, and collaboration. Again, within Berkeley and outside of it. And then we have media, which is social media management, publicity, graphic design, education, and generally just spreading our ideas and knowledge throughout to the general public. Next, please. So again, to go a little bit into internal affairs, we manage recruitment, and then we also put on a series of workshops throughout the semester. So in the past, we've done a Rhino, Adobe, AutoCAD, like software workshops where we've gotten grad students or undergrads who are very knowledgeable in those softwares and given a whole tutorial. And then we also do speaker events and seminars with various professionals in the built environment community, whether that's someone in environmental econ or sustainability or an emerging architect. We also do socials, and those can include like Glade socials or cross College of Environmental Design group club socials, and a variety of other things. Next, we have our internal alumni sponsors networking. So we organize with our group, our members and past members, and also our sponsors. And additionally, we work with a number of professors at Berkeley, so also networking with them. And then I'd say the largest part of the internal committee is the finances. So I and the committee work directly with student union finances and with each individual project and make sure everything is properly funded. So when we get a grant or have to set up a contract, we coordinate with the project and with student union finances. Next, please.
Okay, I can speak more on outreach. So specifically for our outreach team, we focus more on developing sponsorships as well as industry partnerships. And for that reason, most of the people on these teams are also part of Solar Decathlon or THIMBY as well, since we're doing a lot of cross-team collaboration with these two specific projects. And then for our fundraising and grants, we've definitely had a lot of success with the past few grants that we have. There's a few that we mainly apply to, namely the Green Initiative Fund, as well as the Big Ideas. You might have heard of these while on campus. And yeah, we've been relatively successful, especially within the past semester. And we've actually just received our largest grant from TGIF in our the grant's entire history, which is $124,000 in order to fund the project for Solar Decathlon, which is very exciting. And otherwise, we're also regularly looking out towards any new grants and funding opportunities as well, sort of building out the database for that. We also support the crowdfunding that we have with SHAC, as well as community engagement opportunities. So for example, connecting with Tiny House Village in Oakland, visiting there, as well as supporting any other engagements, asks that we get from Solar Decathlon or THIMBY as well. And then mainly we also work very closely with a lot of project teams, as I had mentioned. And so we also help in facilitating the inter-organizational collaboration as well. And yeah, so there's several different facets of it, but that is pretty much all we cover for outreach. Thank you. Now I'll pass it off to talk about media.
Yeah, so hi everyone. I can talk a little bit more about what the media committee does. So basically, there's kind of two main parts of media. The first is kind of creating content for recruitment and other, just kind of spreading it around the community. And the second is kind of interacting with our sponsors. So for creating content, it's all kind of focused around what we will share on social media. So these are some like the recruitment graphics we've made. So obviously using kind of like the Adobe suite to create digital graphics and other marketing tools. We also are focused on making merch and like t-shirts and stickers and pins, both for like general SHAC members and then also to spread around the Berkeley community. And then another part of the content that we're doing right now is creating a documentary series for Solar Decathlon. So this is kind of an ongoing project that will be for this semester and the next semester, basically kind of documenting the whole building process and inspiration behind that project. And then in terms of kind of communicating with our sponsors, the main way we do this is through our newsletter and blog. And this is kind of a monthly newsletter and blog that we make in the committee that we send out to the general public, but in particular our sponsors, to kind of update them on just kind of the progress we've made with each project. And so basically for media, we're looking for anyone that's kind of, all majors are welcome, and anyone that's interested in marketing or graphic design or just creating any sort of content. In particular for this semester, we're looking for a social media officer, basically in charge of coordinating kind of the dispersion of our content on all our social media platforms, and also the creation in part of some of these graphics and whatnot, which we share on our Instagram. And then the second would be a video specialist. So as I mentioned before, we're currently making the documentary for Solar Decathlon, and we are planning on working with one of the local film organizations on campus. But basically, as the video specialist for media committee, you would basically be kind of heading the SHAC part of this documentary creation and kind of leading the communication with the film organization. And yeah, that's basically it. I really hope you guys join media. Next slide.
Okay, finally, we're now on to the decal. Victor and I will be facilitating the Living Features Regenerative Environmental Design decal. Applications have been extended to tonight, so we still have 3 hours and 15 minutes. If you want to apply, please do so now. Next slide. Next slide, please. So yeah, we'll link in the application. Victor, if you can do that on the chat. But the Living Features decal explores regenerative environmental design. So the big discourse right now is like a lot of the sustainable initiatives are focused on sustainability, but then sustainability is just trying to aim for no harm in the environment. But regenerative, on the other hand, is producing net positive buildings. So that's a step further than what we have right now, which is sustainability. So this is to do more good as opposed to just less bad. And it's a solution-based course that uses the Living Building Challenge and Living Community Challenge as a guide to envision a future that is socially just, culturally rich, and ecologically restorative. So we'll be exploring the 7 petals, and it's a fairly low commitment decal. You're only required to do 7 out of the 11 weeks of discussion posts, and it will culminate in a final project that will come in any format you want, be it a book, a paper, or a presentation, any format, very self-directed and very fun. I took this class last semester, so I highly recommend it. And then finally, this is just a rough sort of weekly schedule for us. Our general project meetings will be Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m. That's a requirement for everyone who will be part of SHAC. And then board meets Tuesdays, board meeting officers, we meet Tuesdays 7 to 8. And then the other times are sort of tentative times for media outreach, internal affair meetings, as well as for Friday. We're planning to have this study SHAC where we're going to be hosting workshops, socials, speaker events, and just casual office hours to check in. And as Victor mentioned in the chat, our decal, our first class will be on Thursday, 6:30 to 8 p.m. So no, like the decal is completely up to you. You don't need to participate and sign up for the decal in order to participate in SHAC. So you may choose whichever. Yeah.
So here's the QR code for our Instagram. So if you guys could shoot us a follow, we would really appreciate it. And then also we have all the links to our websites where you can kind of ask questions, and then also for our application. So yeah, we really appreciate you guys coming out to this info session, and we hope you apply and join us this semester.
Just as a-
Unmute here. Yeah, so kind of just reiterating, some of our projects is looking for some specific roles that we'd like to fill this semester. We'll leave this up for a little bit, screenshot if you want. If you don't necessarily feel like you are like really built for the role or your experience isn't, don't worry about it, just apply anyways. But if you do feel like you will fill one of these roles pretty well, then indicate it in your application to the club, and we'll be happy to talk to you about it. But reiterate, if you don't feel like you're specifically in any of these, please apply anyways. We'll be happy to have you. No experience really required.
Do we want to address some of the questions in the chat?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Let's see. What's the time commitment like? Is that for the decal or for like general SHAC membership? sorry, let's see. That's this
I mean,
question.
the time commitments for most individual roles are listed on the website in their like respective drop-down descriptions. I think most of the roles we listed were like starting at 5 hours and maybe a few in the 4, and then going all the way up to like maybe like 8-10 hours, not including like build days and stuff. So
Yeah, it really depends on the role that you're in. Yeah, it can really range. It also ranges based on the week. Sometimes just based on our communications with external organizations. For instance, in Solar Decathlon, when there's a week where we're kind of waiting on something to happen from the city of Oakland, your workload is going to be a lot lighter. There's just kind of an in-between stage, and then other weeks it'll be pretty heavy. So it's not always super consistent, but I would say on average, most of the roles, again, as Garrett said, start around 4 hours a week. And it is also depending on how much you're able to put in to a certain extent. So if you're really interested in getting involved and like learning about all aspects of the project, there is every opportunity to do so.
Okay, just to kind of reiterate what Robin's saying as well about like very specific meeting times. For most members, the most mandatory meeting are on Wednesdays, 7 to 9. The meetings outside of that would be either if you're involved with a committee, or if you have communications with like an outside organization that would require a separate meeting. Member application results. So we will have rolling interviews as applications come in. So communication about those will come out like as we interview them, review them.
Just to clarify, we will be waiting until after the application, like until everyone has been interviewed or everyone that's been accepted for an interview, like to announce decisions. So like it's not a rolling application process. It's just we need to be efficient with time. So people that are applying earlier may get like an interview before the application is due. So yeah.
Does anyone have any more questions?
Feel free to unmute as well. I'll have to be in the chat.
Hi guys. So I applied for the Solar Decathlon, but I wasn't sure what to do with THIMBY because I wanted to be like just a general construction person. But that came, I think it was like in the committee section. So does that still mean I could be part of THIMBY, or how does that work?
There will be like the general construction member thing. It will be more of like a volunteer list. So you wouldn't be as like directly involved in weekly meetings and planning and whatnot. And so like anyone that's on SHAC to begin with will like we'll make that available to them, and they can sign up to be a part of that like body of volunteers that we can reach out to. But yeah, if you do want to be more directly involved in like the planning and like of each construction day, and be able to attend more construction days that we might have less people on site because we don't need a ton of people all the time, then apply to be part of the project. So yeah.
Okay, so thank you.
Yeah.
But for the application, I think you would officially be applying for one project.
Yeah.
So if you want to do SD, you would officially be SD, but you can also help with the construction.
Okay, so you would choose one.
Yeah, and there will be build days for both projects this fall. But if you are doing build days as part of Solar Decathlon, you can also participate in THIMBY if they need help. So it's not like you can't do both. It's just the planning aspect of things is pretty much one or the other. It's just in terms of timing, it's definitely would be a bit difficult to work on both projects. So
Yeah, please spread the word. As you know, as you may have seen, SHAC has a lot in store for you. So feel free to tell your friends about our projects. There's so many open roles. Very exciting.
And just to clarify, the applications are due on the 11th at 11:59 p.m. So
Yeah, that will be this coming Sunday.
yeah.
Is the position application competitive?
Are you going to answer that, Brian?
Like,
I can answer part of it.
okay,
I mean, to a certain degree, I mean, we are going through a process of looking at folks' applications and interviewing just to make sure that people are the right fit for the project. But it really depends on how many folks we have apply. And as Robin said, we do have a lot of open positions this semester. So it is likely that you will be able to participate and engage with SHAC in the way that you would like. But yeah, well, I think the website outlines pretty clearly what the process is. And as Alec mentioned a little while ago, it really is more important that you are passionate and able to commit time to the project rather than that you have a bunch of experience. That's really the most important thing. So all that we're looking for in the application is you to express that to us and just explain why you're excited to be part of SHAC. So yeah, there's not too much pressure there. I think the descriptions of the roles can seem a little bit intimidating, but yes, definitely don't be shy.
And in some places, and this isn't all across the board, but in some places, for example, for Thimby, we intentionally didn't list the number of available positions for each role because in some situations we've already seen there may be one person that's really passionate about one role, but we also want to bring in someone that has a bit more experience, and so we may just make sort of two roles out of it and have one person be the leader there and one person sort of working alongside them. For example, our financial and business model manager role, as well as our tenancy and ownership model managers. We are looking to hopefully get someone that has background in there, but it is definitely difficult to find, and there are a lot of people that are really interested in it. So we may be able to figure something out as long as we're not building a massive team that's we can't manage. So yeah, there's a little bit of wiggle room is all I'm trying to say. And so don't be afraid to apply for something that, as Brian said, you may not feel like you meet all of the preferred qualifications. So.
oh, is the application due today or on the 11th? Okay, so the decal application is due tonight. The SHAC membership application will be due on the 11th.
And you don't have to.
Yeah, you don't have to
no
be
overlap.
in the decal to be in the club, or you don't have to be in the club to be in the decal.
Exactly.
Well,
So I'll show you my screen.
taking questions for a couple more minutes here, and then we'll let you all go. Thank you all for attending this info session, and we hope to see you in the future, be it in an interview or as a member or in class. Decal, very fun. I took it last semester too.
Brian also took it.
I took it last fall.
Yeah. Final projects are very interesting.
And we had it up on an earlier slide as well, but you can contact us about recruitment via the email. That should also be on our website. So if you have any questions as you're filling out the application or just want to know more in the next few days, you can definitely reach out.
All right, thanks for coming.